Muhammad Ali's daughter, came home from school crying, telling him that kids were bullying her, saying he wasn't really her father. What the greatest did next didn't involve a single punch, but it's one of the most powerful knockouts he ever delivered. This is the story of how Ali proved that real strength isn't about how hard you can hit, but about how you stand up for the people you love. Maya Ali was born in 1972, the same year as her half-brother Muhammad Ali Jr. But unlike her siblings who grew up in Ali's main household, Maya's childhood was different. She was the daughter of Patricia Harvell, a woman Ali had a relationship with while still married to his second wife, Belinda Boyd. In the complicated web of Ali's personal life, Maya was what people cruelly called the love child, the one whose existence wasn't publicly celebrated, the one who didn't get to stand in the spotlight with the rest of the Ali family. Growing up in her neighborhood, Maya adored her father. She had his photographs on her bedroom wall. She watched his fights on television with pride bursting in her chest. She'd tell her friends at school about her famous father, about how he was the greatest boxer in the world, about how he'd let her sit on his lap and how he'd call her on the phone. But her classmates didn't believe her. "Muhammad Ali is not your father," they'd say, laughing at her claims. "If he was really your dad, where is he? Why doesn't he come to your school? Why don't we ever see you with him?" The questions cut deeper than any punch Ali ever took in the ring. Maya would try to explain. She'd tell them that her father was busy, that he traveled the world, that he had important things to do. But the more she explained, the more they mocked her. The bullying got worse. Kids would point at her in the hallway and whisper. They'd make up cruel songs about the girl who pretended to have a famous father. During lunch, some kids would sit at her table just to interrogate her with questions they knew she couldn't answer.
If Muhammad Ali is your dad, what's his phone number? If he's really your father, why doesn't he live with you? You're a liar. Muhammad Ali doesn't even know you exist. For a young girl just trying to navigate elementary school, it was torture. The worst part wasn't even the bullying itself. The worst part was the seed of doubt it planted in her own mind. Mia knew Ali was her father. Her mother had told her. Ali had acknowledged her. But his absence from her daily life, the fact that she didn't share his last name in the same public way her siblings did, the reality that she lived separate from his main family made the bully's words sting with a terrible possibility. What if they were right? What if she wasn't important enough to him? What if she was just an embarrassment, a mistake he wanted to hide? One afternoon, after a particularly brutal day at school where a group of kids had surrounded her on the playground chanting, "Liar, liar, pants on fire," Mia came home in tears. She tried to hide it from her mother at first, going straight to her room and closing the door. But Patricia Harvell knew something was wrong. She'd seen the signs before, the way Mia had become quieter, more withdrawn, less excited about going to school each day. Patricia knocked on Mia's door. "Baby, what's wrong?" Mia couldn't hold it in anymore. Through sobs, she told her mother everything, the constant teasing, the accusations that she was lying, the way kids treated her like she was making up stories for attention, the way even some teachers seemed skeptical when she mentioned her father's name. "They say you're not really my daddy. They say I'm lying. They say you don't care about me." Patricia felt her heart break. She knew Ali loved Mia. She'd seen it in the way he looked at her daughter, in the way he'd hold her, in the phone calls he'd make when he was on the road. But she also understood why the kids at school didn't believe Mia. In a world before social media, before camera phones, before every moment was documented and shared, it was hard to prove a connection that wasn't publicly displayed. "Do you want me to call your father?" Mia nodded, tears still streaming down her face. Patricia picked up the phone and dialed Ali's number. She explained the situation, her voice tight with emotion as she described what her daughter was going through. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then Ollie's voice, clear and firm. "Mia, baby girl, listen to me. I am your father. You are my daughter, and everybody is going to know it. You go to school tomorrow like normal, but don't you worry about those kids anymore. Daddy is going to handle this." The next day, Mia went to school with a mixture of nervousness and hope. Her father had said he'd handle it, but she wasn't sure what that meant. Would he call the school? Would he send a letter? She tried to focus on her classwork, but the usual whispers and pointed fingers made concentration impossible. Then, in the middle of the morning, there was a commotion in the hallway. Mia could hear excited voices, kids running, teachers calling for order. Someone burst into her classroom. "Muhammad Ali is here! Muhammad Ali is in the school!" Mia's heart stopped. He came. Her father actually came. Ali walked through the front doors of that elementary school like he owned the place, which, in a way, he did. When Muhammad Ali entered a room, it became his. He wasn't in boxing shorts or a fancy suit. He was dressed casually but impeccably, and he walked with the confidence of a man who'd never lost a fight that mattered. He went straight to the principal's office and announced why he was there. "I'm here to see my daughter, Mia, and I'd like to meet some of her classmates." The principal, starstruck and confused, quickly agreed. Teachers scrambled to accommodate the unexpected visit from the most famous athlete in the world. Ali went to Mia's classroom. When he walked through that door, the entire room went silent. Every child's mouth dropped open. Every teacher stood frozen. And Mia, sitting at her desk, felt her eyes fill with tears for an entirely different reason than the day before. "There's my baby girl," Ali said, his arms open wide. Mia ran to him, and he scooped her up in his arms, holding her close. In front of every kid who'd ever doubted her, every bully who'd called her a liar, every skeptical face that had made her question her own worth, Muhammad Ali held his daughter and made it clear to everyone in that room, "This is my child." But Ali wasn't finished. He looked at Mia and said, "Baby girl, I need you to point out every kid who said I wasn't your daddy." Mia hesitated. She didn't want to get anyone in trouble, but Ali was insistent, his voice gentle but firm. "It's okay. Daddy just wants to meet them. Point them out." One by one, Mia pointed to the kids who'd bullied her. There was Marcus, the ringleader who'd started the liar chants. There was Jennifer, who'd spread rumors that her mother was crazy. There was Tommy, who'd made up a song mocking her. About 7 or 8 kids in total, each one now looking like they wanted to disappear into their chairs. Ali walked to each child, one by one. He wasn't angry, he wasn't threatening. He was Muhammad Ali, which was more than enough. He approached Marcus first. The boy looked terrified. Ali extended his hand. "Hi, Marcus. I'm Muhammad Ali, Mia's daddy. Pleased to meet you."
Marcus, shaking, took Ali's hand. Ali shook it firmly, looked the boy in the eyes, and said, "Mia tells me you didn't believe I was her father. That's okay. Sometimes people don't believe things until they see them with their own eyes. But now you've seen me. Now you know. Mia is my daughter. She's my baby girl, and I love her very much. Do you understand?" Marcus nodded, unable to speak. Ali moved to the next child, then the next, introducing himself to each bully in turn, shaking their hands, looking them in the eyes, making sure they understood exactly who Mia's father was. It wasn't aggressive, it wasn't mean, but it was absolutely clear. If you mess with my daughter, you're messing with me. By the time Ali had greeted each child, the entire classroom was in awe. Some kids were crying, overwhelmed by meeting their hero. Others were laughing with joy. The teacher was taking pictures, knowing this was a moment that would never happen again. Then Ali did something even more remarkable. He asked the teacher if he could address the whole class. "I want to talk to these kids about something important," he said. The teacher, still stunned, quickly agreed.
Ali stood at the front of the classroom, Mia sitting in a chair beside him, her hand in his. "Kids," Ali began, "I want to tell you something. Mia is my daughter. But the reason you didn't know that, the reason she doesn't live in my house with my other children, isn't because I don't love her. It's because grown-ups make complicated decisions that kids shouldn't have to worry about. But that doesn't make her any less my daughter. That doesn't make her any less important to me." He paused, letting his words sink in. Family doesn't always look the way you think it should. Sometimes families are complicated. Sometimes people we love don't live in the same house. But that doesn't mean the love isn't real. Mia is just as much my daughter as any of my other children, and I want you all to know that. More importantly, I want you all to understand something about bullying. The classroom was absolutely silent. Even the kids who'd been fidgeting were now completely still, hanging on every word. When you tell someone they're lying about who they are, when you make them feel like they don't belong, when you make them doubt themselves, you're doing something really harmful. You're hurting them in a way that lasts longer than any punch I ever threw in the ring. Words hurt. Exclusion hurts. Making someone feel like they're not good enough hurts. And I don't ever want to hear that you kids made my daughter feel that way again. His voice wasn't angry. It was sad, disappointed. Somehow that was worse than anger. These kids would have taken a scolding, but Muhammad Ali telling them he was disappointed in how they'd treated someone? That would stick with them forever. "But here's the thing," Ali continued, his voice warming. "I forgive you. Kids make mistakes. You didn't know what you were doing. Now you do. So from today forward, you're going to treat Mia with respect. You're going to include her. You're going to be her friend. And if you do that, we're all good. Deal?" The kids nodded enthusiastically, many of them calling out, "Yes, Mr. Ali," or "We promise."
Ali smiled. "Good. Now, who wants an autograph?" The room erupted in chaos as every hand shot up. Ali spent the next hour signing autographs, posing for pictures, and telling boxing stories to a captivated audience of elementary school students. He shadowboxed for them, showing them his famous shuffle. He let them feel his arms, proving they weren't as big as they thought, but definitely strong. He joked with them, making them laugh, turning what had started as a confrontation into a celebration. But every few minutes, he'd pull Maya close, put his arm around her, make sure everyone in that room saw how much he loved his daughter. He was putting on a show, yes, but the show had a very specific purpose: to make absolutely certain that no one would ever doubt Maya's connection to him again. After the classroom visit, Ali didn't just leave. He took Maya's hand and walked with her through the entire school. They walked down every hallway. They stopped in the cafeteria. They visited the playground. Everywhere they went, kids and teachers stopped to stare, to wave, to ask for autographs. And everywhere they went, Ali made sure everyone saw him holding his daughter's hand. "This is my baby girl, Maya," he'd say to everyone they met. "She's smart, she's beautiful, and she's mine. Y'all better treat her right." They walked through Maya's neighborhood that afternoon, too. Ali had told Patricia his plan, and she'd agreed to let him take Maya for a walk around the area. They walked hand in hand down the streets where Maya lived, where her friends and neighbors could see them together. Kids playing basketball stopped their game to run over. Parents came out of their houses. People pulled their cars over just to catch a glimpse. "Yes, this is my daughter," Ali would say to each person they encountered. "This is Maya. She's my baby girl." It was a parade of validation, a public declaration that could never be taken back or denied. Every kid who'd ever doubted her, every adult who'd ever questioned her mother's stories, every skeptical face in that neighborhood now had proof. The impact was immediate and lasting.
The bullying stopped completely. Not just stopped, reversed. Suddenly, Maya was the most popular kid in school. Everyone wanted to be her friend. Everyone wanted to sit with her at lunch, to be her partner in class projects, to come to her birthday parties in hopes that Ali might show up again. But more importantly, Maya never doubted her worth again. Her father had shown up for her. He'd flown across the country, walked into her school, confronted her bullies with nothing but love and presence, and made absolutely certain that everyone knew she was his daughter. That kind of validation doesn't fade. That kind of love doesn't expire. Years later, as an adult, Maya would tell this story with tears in her eyes. She'd say, "My father could have sent a letter. He could have called the school. He could have had his people handle it. But he showed up in person. He held my hand. He walked through my school and my neighborhood, making sure everyone knew she was his daughter." That's the kind of man he was. That's the kind of father he was to me. The story of Ali and Maya isn't just about a famous father standing up for his child. It's about the power of presence, about showing up when it matters, about public declarations of private love. Ali could have kept Maya hidden, could have maintained the separation between his public family and his private relationships. Instead, he chose visibility. He chose to claim her publicly, to defend her proudly, to love her loudly. He didn't need to throw a single punch. He didn't need to threaten anyone. All he needed to do was show up and say, "This is my daughter." And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone you love is simply to stand beside them and make sure the whole world knows they belong to you. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember that real strength is about standing up for others. And if you're a parent, remember, sometimes the most important fight you'll ever be in won't require fists. It'll just require you to show up and say, "This is my child, and I'm proud of them."